Looking back on the week that was and forward to the week ahead. It's the Fantasy Football Hustle. Here are your hosts, Brian Drake and Dwayne McFarland.
All across the fantasy universe, welcome one and all to the Fantasy Football Hustle podcast, powered by Pro Football Focus. I am, of course, your host, Brian Drake, joined as always by the analytical assassin. It's PFF senior fantasy analyst, Mr. Dwayne McFarland. And tonight we've got a very special show as we've assembled 10 of the best and brightest in the fantasy football world to come join us for a draft on Underdog to crown the king of best ball. That's right. It's our third annual Experts Best Ball Invitational. We know it's All-Star Week in baseball, but folks, this is the true All-Star game here tonight. You won't find a better place to prepare for your fantasy drafts than by listening to our experts tell you who they're drafting and why tonight. And Dwayne, of course, if we're on Underdog, our listeners should be on Underdog too. Use promo code HUSTLE over at UnderdogFantasy.com. We'll match your initial deposit up to $100. It's simply the best place to play and win all summer long. Use code HUSTLE at sign up and we'll match your initial deposit up to $100. Let's say you need some rankings. You're like, oh man, all right, I got a draft coming up. What am I going to do? How about you go over to pff.com, use promo code HUSTLE. We'll save you 25%. Dwayne's articles, Ian's articles. He's in the draft tonight. Nate Yonke, all the great staff over at pff.com. Use promo code HUSTLE and save 25%. Now, Dwayne, we're back with a friend from last year because we know these home leagues, they're going to start coming around and they're going to come fast. All of a sudden, oh my God, we got to draft this weekend. We got to get a board. We got to get stickers. Don't worry. We got you covered again this year. Our buddies at draftwithredzone.com have you covered. Draft board, stickers. They made them even bigger this year. You can see the board and the stickers from Mars. All right. And we're going to give you that sick championship ring. Use code FFHustle22, and we're going to knock $10 off your purchase. Again, draftwithredzone.com. Get your board, get your stickers, get the ring. FFHustle22 is the code. Save $10 off your purchase. Dwayne, what's going on, my friend? How are you? All the pleasantries are out of the way. You excited for tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. You're just such a professional, Drake. Like, you seem like you should be on radio or something. Like maybe you might be on Sirius XM. Like, I don't know. Like you're good at this. But no,
I hope to do it again this year. So
we're going to be drafting. We've got a lot of great drafters that we're going to be drafting with. So very happy to have all these folks on and joining us. So I know you'll go through the lineup here in just a second. So yeah, man, like it's July. We're talking about football. We're talking about fantasy football with smart people. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's a 18-round draft on Underdog, half-point PPR, best ball draft, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex. That's your starting lineup. You draft the team. Underdog does the rest. 10 bench spots. That's why we love best ball so much. Let's talk about who's in the draft tonight, Dwayne. Your buddy, Ian Hartitz. You talk to him more than you talk to me now. You do like 8 podcasts a week with this gentleman. Ian Hartitz is in the draft. Josh Larky, a guy we haven't had on the show yet, so we're glad to welcome Josh in from the 33rd team, doing great stuff over there, assembling a new roster of fantasy talent. Excited to see what they put out this year. One of 2 guys from fantasypoints.com. It's our great friend Graham Barfield. We're going to have him up momentarily. John Daigle, 4for4.com. We're waiting for him to hop into the draft. Always love talking to Johnny. Joe Dolan of Fantasy Points. Looking forward to drinking with him out at the Kings Classic in Canton, Ohio in a few weeks. He won this a few years back. So Joe is with us again. Ryan Hallam, the Godfather, the man who created FightingChanceFantasy.com. He's over at Fantasy Alarm these days. The Godfather's in with us. So is Drew Davenport. You know him from the Auction Draft Fantasy Podcast and FootballGuys.com. Drew is with us. So is D-Bro. Derek Brown of Fantasy Pros. Had him on the hustle, 2 years ago now, Dwayne, and he's back at it. Matt Donnelly, great new voice in fantasy. Hope you're following Matt. He's from the Dynasty Vipers, and he also does stuff with Fantasy Points Live. Ryan Reynolds, we got him back in. If you've been a fan of the hustle, you know the issue that we've had with getting Ryan into these drafts, because sometimes he wasn't quick enough on the button, and we had to get a replacement, and someone named Balboni came in the draft for him one year. But big shout out to Ryan from Establish the Run, and just today announced, Dwayne, he is a part of the 33rd team. So what do you think of this crew we've got here today?
It's kind of intimidating, you know. I mean, like, you know me, I'm here to win. This is a lot of competition. But yeah, man, I'm excited to get us started.
All right, and we will get started momentarily. Let's see. I've got to find one more person because we're just having a little snafu here getting someone in the draft. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw it out to some of my pals here on the interwebs and see if we can't get them to hop in. So Dwayne, how about you hop in the draft?
You want me in now?
Yep, you hop in, and then if Daigle comes in, we got him. If not, we'll see if we can get someone else in here right now. And while we're doing that, getting ready to rock and roll, let's bring in Graham Barfield and Josh Larky. Gentlemen, welcome to the Hustle. Josh, you're bringing in a new squad here at the 33rd team. It's exciting, and you have one of your new employees, Ryan Reynolds, on the staff today. Welcome to the Hustle, man. Congratulations on the gig.
Thank you. It's good to be here. I feel like this group is all people that I've been following, taking advice from for quite a while, and I'm really excited to be a part of this. And yeah, Ryan, it feels weird to call him an employee because Ryan is going to be our co-head of betting and someone that I know I'm going to learn a pretty crazy amount from. He's someone that has a very refined process, and I think we're basically just going to let him loose. He's been formulating some different articles for quite a while, and it's time to unleash the beast.
I'm looking forward to it. And Graham, you would just have this summer of stats, I like to call it, over at Fantasy Points, where you just drop stat after stat after stat on us. How's your summer going? You ready for 2022?
Yo, yeah, good to see you guys. First and foremost, thanks for having me back on. It's
Absolutely.
Gonna be fun to see what strategy you guys take in these streets. But yeah, just like the All-Star game, I'm also gonna be taking like 500-foot swings. I'm swinging for the fences in this draft to try to beat you guys. So that's what's up. But yeah, man, I'm finishing a couple AFC stat packs as we speak right now. So we're gonna be trying to get everything going before training camp. I know you guys know the grind, and it's right around the corner, man.
Yeah, no question about it. And the draft is full. We're going to be starting up here momentarily.
Cool, baby. You guys were lucky enough to give me the 4 pick, Brian. I'm picking next to you. Looks like.
Yeah. Oh, let me see here. I'm trying to get. I always have a tough time with these damn Underdog boards because I have to do it in multiple different screens. So let's make
Drake,
sure.
I'm going to put the over under on you. The picks you're actually going to make for yourself at 50%. Like I'm giving you a coin flip to get half of these.
Drew Davenport has the 101, and then we go to your boy Ian Hartitz is at 2. I'm at the 103. Then Graham Barfield is at 4. Derek Brown is at 5. Matt Donnelly 6. Dwayne McFarland there at 7, followed by the Godfather Ryan Hallam at 8. Ryan Reynolds 9. Fun guy hates stats. I hear when people see that in the lobbies, they run and hide. That's our buddy Josh. He's at 10. Joe Dolan, a former champ, here is 11. And my buddy Seth from fightingchancefantasy.com hops in here at 12. So we're 30 seconds away from kicking this thing off here. You know what we're going to have to do here, Dwayne? We're already rocking and rolling. Jonathan Taylor and Christian McCaffrey off the board. So it comes to me here at the 103. I'm going to go wide receiver. I know everyone loves Justin Jefferson. He's this year's Cooper Kupp. I'm going to take last year's Cooper Kupp, who actually is Cooper Kupp, to start my team with the Rams wide receiver. Graham, you're on the clock.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and scoop up me some JHF at 4. Pretty chalk first 4 picks here.
Do you buy that the Justin Jefferson talk of he's going to be, this year's Cooper Kupp in that new Vikings offense?
Certainly well within his range of outcomes. Last year when Thielen got hurt, Jefferson just went nuclear, had like a 35% target share, one of the highest target per route run rates. I think with Thielen back and healthy, at least to start the year, that's going to regress just a skosh. But Vikings are kind of one of those teams that I think could sneakily pass just a little bit more. And that's kind of what we've all been waiting for, is like for them to become like a top 12-ish team in pass rate. I think it happens this year. I think it happens under O'Connell. And I think Jefferson certainly has wide receiver 1 well within his range. I've been taking him a ton at 4 and 5. Like that's my guy at 4 and 5.
I've been talking about Dalvin Cook is the possible number one running back overall. He goes 9th to Ryan Reynolds. And then Josh, it comes to you. And here's a guy I've been talking about. I'm not in on this year, and that's Davante Adams. I worry about the target share. He's not going to see the same numbers that he saw in Green Bay, but you felt compelled enough to take him at the 110, and you're going to be back on the clock here in a second. So you can kind of talk us through Adams and your second pick.
Yeah, give me like 20 seconds. We're seeing what Joe does, and then I'm going to hop in.
Joe Dolan, defending champ here from a few years back. He went Najee Harris, Joe Mixon, going a little old school. And Josh goes with DeAndre Swift, a guy I've seen already creeping up into the first round. You got him at 15 overall.
So with Adams, I agree. He's not going to see the low 30% target share that he had been seeing with the Packers. That's not going to happen. However, I think this offense is going to be really, really good. I think it's going to be one of the top 10 passing offenses in the NFL, could be top 5. And their volume is it's immense compared to Green Bay. I understand that Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, that's a downgrade. However, if you just look at the raw passing volume that the Raiders are going to throw, way, way more than the Packers. And they're also not slow. It frustrated me to no end last year to see the Packers consistently the absolute stone slowest team with pace in the entire NFL. So I think with Davante Adams, there's actually some factors working in his favor where I think it's very likely that we see a similar, just not quite as good season as he's had the last 2 years. So at the end of the first round, I really like him. And then Swift, I mean, what is stopping Swift from being the number one running back in fantasy? He's got a great offensive line. We know he's going to have a strong target share. We know that he is an explosive runner. Just seems to me like DeAndre Swift is pretty much set up how you want your running back to be set up, essentially to have RB1 in his range of outcomes. I will happily take him in the second round.
Dwayne, let's touch base with you. You started to draft Stephon Diggs, Saquon Barkley. If anyone's been listening to the Fantasy Football Hustle, they know Dwayne's in on Barkley here in the second round as a possible bounce back candidate, somebody with overall RB1 in his range of outcomes. You happy with that start?
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at Diggs, could easily be 25-30% target share guy in the number one passing offense in the NFL. We don't really know who the wide receiver 2 or option 2 is going to be in Buffalo, which means that we could literally see Diggs with a 30% target share in this high volume offense. So Diggs still has the wide receiver 1 overall within his range of outcomes. I know we can say that about every player, but like it's in his reasonable range of outcomes. Like let's say it that way. Is that better, Larky? Does that make sense? But looking at Diggs, happy in this format, obviously, because we know the receivers go fast. You have to start 3, even though technically, really, your running backs carry more upside, in all formats, but much more so in half PPR and in standard PPR and standard leagues. And then as far as coming back with Saquon Barkley, you're right. If anybody's listened to the hustle, they know that I love him. Look, what not to like about, a back that's still 25 years old. He's actually only 1 year older than Najee Harris. Has an every down skill set. Is probably going to be on the field 75 to 80% of the plays. The only question we really have around Saquon Barkley is just whether or not his explosiveness is going to be back. So, I was on ETR today with Evan Silva and with Adam Levitan, and that was kind of
name dropping over here.
Well, that was mine and Silva's back and forth, right? Like we all agree on the volume. His question is, can Saquon return to form? My thought is we're dealing with such a young back that like I'm just not going to worry about it. And if you look at a lot of the folks that we respect in the medical community and the advancements that we've had as far as fantasy goes, like the folks I listen to, they're all good, with Saquon Barkley. So am I.
The way I see Saquon isn't he in a better spot this year than last year? He was a late round 1 pick last year, coming right off of the ACL tear. And we confirmed last year that even right off the ACL tear, after 1 game, he just gets thrust into the 80 to 90% snap share. He's now another full year removed from it, yet the ADP is a full round lower. To me, at least, it seems like if you at all thought the process made sense last year, you're pretty much legally obligated to be in this year.
Yeah, I love him in the mid-second. Like lots of Saquon shares.
Josh is back up on the clock, and Barkley went at pick 18 to Dwayne. That's dead nuts on his ADP over at Underdog. We're cruising through this draft here. These drafts go so fast over on Underdog. And remember, if you want to play on Underdog just like we're doing, use promo code HUSTLE. We're going to match your deposit bonus up to $100. You want to get in Best Ball Mania, that's $25 chances to win millions of dollars. on one entry. You guys are smart out there. You know fantasy football. Let's put a little cash on the line here. So let's kind of reset things here. I went receiver to start things. Cooper Kupp. Then I came back with Tyreek Hill. I would have gone Javonte Williams, but our buddy Derek Brown from Fantasy Pros sniped him 2 picks before me. And then coming back around, I didn't love any of the running backs at that point. Maybe Travis Etienne. So I went AJ Brown. So Kupp, Hill, Brown, and I'll just hammer away at running back later in the draft. Dwayne, I finally passed on Josh Allen in the 3rd round. I wasn't making that mistake again.
Yeah, he nearly just made it back to me, and I have Diggs, so I definitely would have taken him in the 4th. But Allen, I just pass. I can't spend the 3rd round capital as much as we love him. Whenever I won't name drop the other quarterback since we are in a live draft. But I just feel like there's too many other options that have similar ceilings to Josh Allen that you can get multiple rounds later. But whenever you are in a situation where you can get, goodness gracious, like James Conner sitting here, what in the world? Whatever, I'll just do it. He's not normally here at this point. So I've got my 3 running backs. I'm done, guys. I'm done. So you can't snipe me at running back. So just do it at receiver. What was I even
Connor,
saying?
ADP
Like
at 32. You got him at 42. 10 picks after his ADP.
Yeah. So with Josh Allen, I definitely would have taken him in the 4th. But even when I have Diggs, I just don't force Allen just because of the opportunity cost of the other players. And then the fact that I think there are just other quarterbacks that you can really target in rounds 5 and 6 that give you similar upside to Allen. Obviously, Allen is the QB1, but it's just, again, it's a matter of opportunity cost at these other positions.
Man, we're already blasting through round 4. I took Darren Waller, so I still don't have any running backs. I've got Kupp, Hill, Brown, and Waller. And it's going to sneak back around after Drew and Ian go. We'll catch up on all their teams as we go along here. How much Underdog are you guys playing? You guys doing tons of best ball? Graham, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I usually start high volume in May after the drafts. I could double check here. I think I'm up to 70 BBMs, and I play a ton on NFFC. I play a ton of their draft champions. It's $150 per buy-in, so it's mid stakes. But yeah, I usually hammer from May to July and then stop for a little bit at the end of July just to kind of get a break and then pick back up in August. What about you guys?
Let's see. Well, I play a ton
I'm sitting
here on
around
the show.
70 drafts so far. But not all BBMs though. It's a mix of puppies, BBMs. And then also I do some on DraftKings, in between the puppies, I'll go play the $5 over on DraftKings. And it just gives you something different because, it's the full PPR format. So I kind of mix it up, but obviously Underdog, our sponsor, is the favorite.
Yeah, I do a lot of Underdog drafts. That's kind of how you get that red shield that I have. It means I draft way too often on Underdog. So last year, I think I did 500 Underdog drafts and then about 300 on other platforms. This year, I scaled it back. I decided that was too maniacal. I am going for probably 250 drafts on Underdog, maybe another 100 on places like DraftKings.
Josh, I got a question for you. When you're drafting that high volume, what's your what's your overall strategy on exposure for all positions, just in general? Do you have caps for yourself? Just curious on that when you're doing 250.
So I generally try to be cognizant of my exposure. So I'll look at it. Oh, damn it. I was about to take Amon-Ra. Give me 1 second.
Josh is
I nearly went ahead and just took him, since it's a draft with all of the buddies.
Oh, this is so gross. All right,
Josh is on the clock. His squad is Devontae Adams, DeAndre Swift, Kyle Pitts, Breece Hall, the rookie for the Jets, and he just took Jalen Hurts. Damn it, I was hoping he was going to come back to me to stack with A.J. Brown.
So I try to be cognizant of my exposures. I generally don't want to be over 30, 35%. I know there's some people out there that do the extremely high volume, and they're like, oh, you can't be over 20%. You don't want to take too much of a stand. But the way I see it is that I'm not a huge player take guy. I'm more of a player archetype guy. And there's certain archetypes of players where if I'm doing really high volume, I just go, you know what? Is this guy going to burn me if I fade him? And generally that leads me to pretty high exposures on certain players that I view as kind of like that league winning archetype.
Yeah.
So if I think that the guy can finish pretty much number 1 overall at his position, or if he can exceed ADP by 3, 4, 5 rounds, if I think that's likely, then I'm going to make sure that I have 20 to 30% exposure to that guy. So I kind of just do it based on player archetypes as opposed to like, here's my specific player take. It's like, let's get the pass catching running backs. Let's get receivers on really, really strong offenses. And I kind of go from there.
Make a pick here. You got 5 seconds.
Pressure.
Adam
He got
Thielen.
He got it in.
Was that an auto pick or did you get that in?
I got that one
No,
in.
that was
All
a
right,
pick.
all right, good.
You know it wasn't an auto. It didn't sit there on 0 for a second. You know when you see those. And it's been me before. Like I've been screwing around doing something. I'm like, oh shit, there goes my pick.
It's so fast here on Underdog. And
We
that's
just had
really the
a-
great thing about it is you can get these drafts done fast.
Yeah.
I was in a DraftKings one last night, and man, it drug. 30 seconds is not long, but when everybody takes the full 30 and you're used to these, dude, I never get Patrick Mahomes. What pick am I at here? 66, and I have Juju on the team. Giddy up. Let's do it.
Look at the squad Dwayne's putting together here. Steph Diggs and Juju at his wide receiver. He's got 3 running backs already. Saquon, ETN, James Conner, and Patty Mahomes tick-tocking his way onto Dwayne's team at 66th overall. Graham's on the clock, and then I should probably take a quarterback or running back at some point in this draft. Looking down at who's on the board, hashtag yikes. Not really a big fan of most of these guys.
Honestly, this is where I think Mahomes really should go, is about where he just went. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, I've got Kyler Murray ranked ahead of Mahomes. I've got Jalen Hurts basically right there with Mahomes. And that's why I never get him. It's just because there's just the other guys that usually go 2 rounds later. And they, are typically easy, to stack as well. Mahomes, the one thing really nice about Mahomes is it's pretty easy to stack him, but he could be easy to stack just because the offense isn't going to be as good. Like nobody ever talks about that. Like Tyreek Hill was obviously a huge part of the offense. They're going to remain, pass heavy, but there's no guarantee that MVS or any of these other guys can really do anything. In fact, I would put my chip on MVS. Probably not, breaking out like people think you will.
Yeah, I don't understand the MVS. So just to make sure I understand, the guy with the career catch rate below 50%, who's never had a target share above 14% with Aaron Rodgers, this was the guy that was so mismanaged with his talent, the superstar receiver that Aaron Rodgers just didn't appreciate. Really, that's what we're supposed to believe in. I mean, I think he's an okay best ball pick, but especially in redraft, how can you ever start MVS with confidence week in, week out?
I think Graham has a stat pack for this, Josh.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Hold on, I'm on the clock. I'll jump in a second.
No, that's our
Trying to start
strategy. You have to answer now.
He's on the clock. Miles Sanders pick threw it.
Josh earlier. Okay. I liked MVS when he was an 11th round pick. I don't like him as a 7th round pick. He's starting to go 7th, 8th round now. I loved MVS when he was like 11th or 12th round, but if I could get him as my wide receiver 6 and bank on a couple spiked weeks, hell yeah. But not in the 8th or 9th round now. He's just gotten steamed way too much.
And the same things happened with Lazard. Lazard's really the same thing. Never has done anything from a target share standpoint, PFF receiving grade, targets per route run, yards per route run. He did have in 100 receiving snaps with Devontae Adams out. He was at least like a wide receiver 4, which is more than I can ever say for MVS. So, Alan Lazard, you will not be going on my team. I see you sitting in the queue, and you can F off. So
you got 10 seconds, Dwayne. So
I know. This is dramatic effect. Okay. All right.
5, 4. Michael Thomas. Reports come out today.
down.
Michael Thomas, could be back in time for camp. That's the big thing with Michael Thomas. Guys, remember a few years ago, Michael Thomas was a 1st-round pick, and now you're getting him in the 7th round. It's still an offense that we know that it's really the same offense that they've been running for years, although with a new play caller in Carmichael. But I'd like to get you guys quick thoughts on that. I know Josh is up here. So Graham, Michael Thomas here in the 7th round, a guy who used to produce at a 1st-round value. Are you taking him in the 7th round? Is he just a guy who's off your draft board because you don't know what's going to happen with that ankle, or you're okay taking a shot?
Michael Thomas is an excellent wide receiver 4 or 5, but a really bad wide receiver 2 or 3. Like, I want to insulate myself from any downside risk that he has in my teams. But, I mean, honestly, man, any of us sitting here trying to predict what Michael Thomas is going to look like when he gets on the field next, I mean, we're kind of running the fool's errand, to be honest with you. I mean, we really, truly don't know what kind of burst, explosion, everything he's going to have. because he's dealt with, God, now 3 surgeries with his ankle. He's just been in a constant rehab cycle. We really don't know. But, I mean, I'd be lying if I said, like, Michael Thomas didn't have a ton of upside as your wide receiver 4 or 5. I mean, he certainly does.
What are you drinking over there, by the way, Graham?
I got a little sweet tea. Yeah.
Look at you. You're going to be out at the expo this year?
I will. I'm looking forward to seeing you. Dwayne, you're coming too, right, man?
Yeah. Yep. I will be out there. Yeah.
So
Ian will be there. Larky, are you going?
Well, if someone sponsors the $750 plane flight from San Diego, I will be out there. But until the flight cost drops, no, I do not have plans currently.
Wait, are you trying to fly into Canton or Cleveland?
I've checked both. They are really expensive.
Okay. Yeah, because Cleveland, you can get, like, Joe and I are going to get a rental car and just bolt over to Cleveland together. But, yeah, flying into Canton's apparently really expensive.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this is what I'm going to do here.
By the way, Dwayne, to your point about MVS, I can't believe we've gotten to a point where Marquez Valdez-Scantlin is going ahead of Tyler Lockett in some drafts. Like, that boggles my mind.
Yeah, people have just gotten carried away. And I get it. Like, it's the Chiefs offense and people are attracted to it. But I think we have enough data looking back historically at these archetypes of players, or this type of player to know that typically it's, they're not going to break out, Now, here's the thing. Like, Marquez Valdez-Scantling could be the number 2 receiver on the Chiefs, and it could mean an 18% target share, right? It could just be spread out. It could be Kelsey, and then everybody else is below 20%. Right, that could be what we're dealing with. We've talked him down so much here. Like, I might get to take him with Patrick Mahomes, like, past ADP. I have 2 shares of Valdez-Scantling, and I think both of them are around plus past ADP. Where I'm just like, well, just to better be sure. Never say never. Oh, awesome! Just spilt my drink. But I'm not even. I'm just drinking water, Drake. But with Scantling, if I can get him like 12 picks, past ADP, it's like I'll squeeze him in.
It's a great day to be great. Is your other podcast co-host joins the show here? It's PFF's Ian Hartitz hopping on the stream here on the Fantasy Football Hustle. Ian, welcome to the show, man. Let's talk about your squad. Christian McCaffrey at the 1-2, and then you come back with a little Mark Andrews action. T. Higgins, Lamar Jackson. These are some pretty exciting guys. I know if you listen to the PFF Fantasy Podcast, these are guys you and Dwayne all love. What are you feeling with your team so far from the 2-hole?
Team's great. Dwayne, where's your freaking beer, man? What are you trying to prove here? Knocking over a water, my God. Larky, great to finally be sharing a screen with your brother. And Drake, always a pleasure, man. Graham, also always good. I don't have my contacts in, guys. It's hard for me to see this shit, but great day to be great as always. And seriously, guys, look at this. I don't think I've gotten a chance to stack Lamar, Andrews, and Bateman on one team yet this entire offseason. On one hand, I feel like it's reckless. We have a run-first quarterback. How's he going to enable 2 high-end pass game options? On the other hand, the top 2 running backs are still coming off ACL surgeries. Maybe, guys, the Ravens just keep throwing the hell out of the ball in 2022, and Lamar Jackson's a great passer, even though the mainstream media won't freaking say that. I love it.
And Ian is in the building, folks.
He's ready to go. What are you drinking over there, Ian? What do you got?
I got a 12-er Pacifico. I hope the stream's not over until I'm done with them.
We can sit here all night. That's the beauty of the hustle. Dwayne and I all the time are like, all right, there's going to be a half-hour show. We're going to bang out a real quick show. This is going to be great tonight. We're just going to talk about this one topic. 140 minutes later, we're like, all right, folks, see you next week. Never get out hustled. That's just kind of how it goes. But so this draft is flying along. We're in the 10th round now. Larky, you've just gone 5 straight wide receivers: Thielen, Drake London, Ayuk, Garrett Wilson, Tyler Boyd. Of those guys, I mean, obviously, I know the order you took them, but do you have any favorites there? Anybody that keeps showing up on your many best ball rosters more than others?
Yeah, I would say that the one that I have probably the most exposure to out of those 5, it's got to be Garrett Wilson. Just feels like the most disrespected top 10 pick at wide receiver that I've ever seen. I understand we've got concerns about Zach Wilson. I know that Elijah Moore is really, really good. I know that they drafted Breece Hall in the 2nd round early on, who is also on my team. But the way that I see it is, if you just look at how these top 10 picks perform, they generally smash expectations. And what I really like about the rookie receivers is that we have no idea what their role is going to be. And I think he's kind of one of the last receivers that you can possibly take who realistically could be a top 24 receiver without any injuries needing to happen. All you really need is that Zach Wilson takes some step forward in year 2, and that Garrett Wilson is the wide receiver talent many of us, myself included, thought he was. He was my pre-draft wide receiver 1. I said that this was more athletic Calvin Ridley. And I just don't quite understand why the landing spot means that suddenly we should take him in the triple-digit picks.
Let me ask you guys, as you know, best balls here, and every show in America does 500 different best ball drafts, but do you guys kind of get into that build of, hey, I'm taking 2 quarterbacks, I can't go over, I'm taking 8 wide receivers, blah, 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 2 tight ends. Do you guys have a predetermined build, Graham, when you go into it, or it's kind of just like how it comes, it comes?
Yeah, I never go into a draft with like a predetermined, I got to go 0 running back, I got to take 2 quarterbacks. Like I really let the draft come to me. And especially when you're playing BBM, especially when you're playing as high volume as I am, really at the end of the day, you're really just trying to correlate your picks. Like, I'm not super into Russell Wilson and season long this year, but you better believe I'm going to be into Russell Wilson if he slips to me in the 8th round of my draft when I take Cortland Sutton or something, So that's kind of, it's more just like logically filling in puzzle pieces as opposed to, in season long where I take a much different strategy. As I almost missed my pick there.
James Cook. He's kind of a polarizing guy.
You almost got him.
James Cook is. Let me ask you guys about James Cook. So, Graham, you selected James Cook here in the 11th round with the 4th pick. He's a guy that wasn't a big between the tackles runner in college. Buffalo's been dying to get someone. They tried trading. There was rumors for CMC, and then, they wanted to get McKissick from Washington, and they're dying to get someone to catch the football, not named Devin Singletary or Zach Moss. So do you think he can come in a PPR format? This is half-point PPR, but in a PPR format, be an every week starter for fantasy?
I like him a lot more in PPR. I still like him as an RB4, RB5 on Underdog, especially when I can get him 15 spots past ADP like I just did. But yeah, the passing game role is what we're after. At the end of the day, we want to draft high volume passing down backs no matter what their early down workload is going to look like. And I think Cook is immediately going to come in and take that role and run with it. Guys, this is a player the Bills coveted. I remember seeing a couple tweets from Bills beats saying that like they brought in like 3 or 4 backs in the draft, 3 or 4 prospects, and James Cook was like the first one. They have been after James Cook since like March. So I think they have a big role in mind for James Cook, and he's a perfect fit for what they want to do.
Yeah, I love Cook, and I know a lot of people are worried about like Josh Allen, and just the fact that he doesn't throw to backs. But Cam Newton didn't throw to backs. He was a running quarterback, and then he got who? CMC. Like, the thing I like about Cook is he's more of a downfield type weapon. He's not just a swing pass guy. Typically, like if you're Lamar Jackson and you can throw a swing pass to Gus Edwards or just take off for 30 yards, of course, you're just going to keep it, right?
Hey,
that's the
easy on Gus.
I had to work that in there.
But the point stands.
Josh Allen's the same way. Like he didn't want to swing pass to the lowest PFF receiving grade running back of all of last year with at least 150 receiving snaps and Devin Singletary. It's like, I'll just take off. But whenever you have a guy like James Cook that can be a mismatch against linebackers, safeties, and oh, by the way, again, we don't know for sure who the number 2, weapon's going to be in the passing game for the Bills. It could just be spread out, or it could be, maybe it's Gabriel Davis takes a step forward. Maybe it's Dawson Knox, but it could easily be James Cook getting 15, 16, 17% of the targets. And in that situation, in a pass heavy offense, I'm with you, Graham. I want as much of him as I can get. I nearly took him in the last pick, but I kind of already made my decision when James Conner fell to me and I had 3 backs in my first 4 picks. I had to stick with the receivers.
Yeah, I will say the one thing with Cook though, man, is he's really skinny. Like he's a small dude. He's not going to be able to get,
Singletary is very little as well. So
I hear you, but Cook, man, he's real skinny in the legs.
Wait till you see me at the Fantasy Expo flag football game.
Yeah, the difference is, man, you're not trying to take on 280-pound defensive linemen and 250-pound linebackers. There's a small difference.
If there was one offense to maybe say, fuck it, maybe our running back should be 190 pounds, it could be the Bills. Now we're asking for a lot there, but man, like we have seen the Ecklers and Kamaras. I'm not saying he's not stratosphere yet. It is possible, Graham, in 2022 to have fewer than 200 carries and still be okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, if we get 160 carries and 70 targets out of James Cook, I'm going to be thrilled. Like that's the goal. I think
James Cook,
targets, for what it's worth, is like bull case for Cook, but
yeah, James Cook was someone that I actually kind of hated pre-draft. I thought he was a terrible prospect, and then he went to the Bills in the second round, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to draft this guy a lot in fantasy football because I think the Bills are one of the more intelligent franchises. I like the way they've built their team. And I think they actually understand the importance of draft capital. I think they're fairly aware of positional value. I don't think he's going to play a traditional running back role. I think he actually could push for the number 2 in targets if Gabe Davis ends up floundering. So I really like James Cook, where we just have no idea what's going to happen. But we know that if the Bills are taking him in the second round, this is, especially when they're a win now Super Bowl contender, this guy's going to see the field a whole lot.
Yeah, sometimes things are just easy. You're like, hey, but then the Bills took him, and it changed my view.
What about Duke Johnson? He's going to roll over.
I knew that, yeah.
Ian, one of my all-time favorite DMs I've ever gotten was from you. I think you DM'd me at 2 a.m. one night, and you go, yo, how much could I pay you to do a yards created on Duke Johnson last year? The next morning, I was like, this literally made my day.
Look, I'm not like the biggest. I have a couple group me's, but I don't know. Like I'm not a big texter in general, and it's fine if you need someone to come on a podcast or something. But there's other times where I don't necessarily want to. I want to reach out to someone and just talk some bullshit. And in that 2 a.m. moment, I decided to talk to Graham Barfield about Duke Johnson. And I'm happy I did, man.
I love your. I mean, it's only fitting that your underdog tag is free the man. I mean,
I've gotten called out almost every stream I've done, though. I have not drafted Duke Johnson yet. So if you want to call me a fraud, that's fair. I will by the end of the summer, though. It's going to be a great moment when that happens.
Well, let's see how many of those beers you can get down.
All our 18 picks.
Marlon Mack, the round prior to the Godfather Ryan Hallam, he's back on the clock. Now, I get it. It's the Texans, guys, but someone is going to be the lead running back in that offense. We assume, by NFL rules, they will have the football at some point this year. Is there anybody? I mean, we're in the 13th round, 150 picks in. Anything intrigue you guys in this Houston backfield with either, the rookie they got the kid out of Florida, right? They got Marlon Mack. They got Rex Burkhead still. I mean, is anything, or just forget it? It's the freaking Texans backfield.
I like some Dame Pierce. Dude was a baller at Florida. Small sample size producer, man. I mean, we always want to shy away from some like small sample efficiency darlings in general. Like those backs typically don't pan out. But I mean, Pierce's was fantastic. And you just said the two backs that he's got to try to take touches from, in Marlon Mack and in Rex Burkhead. Burkhead's 32. Marlon Mack was a healthy scratch all of last year. Like, there's certainly the opportunity there.
I don't want to put people to sleep with our Texans backfield talk. Dwain just took Deshaun Watson here in the 14th round.
Whoa, Dwain. Yeah. This isn't Scott Fishbowl here.
Are you talking to Drew Davenport with the number 1 pick? You're getting that legal insight?
No, man. I'm just trying to win this one league. This one's important to me. So I just figured I'd just take a swing. I hardly ever get Watson, to be honest. I was actually going to try to set it up with Njoku the round before, and I thought, no, I'll just wait and I'll look at some of his other receivers like David Bell later. Now someone will for sure, snipe David Bell even if they don't want him. But yeah, I mean, just if there's any chance like he's only going to be out 6 games, like it's worth a shot.
I almost got even uglier than your Deshaun Watson pick here, and I almost took Sammy Watkins, but I'll wait till the next round. What a stack that's going to be. Sammy Watkins and Aaron Rodgers here in 2022, at least for week 1. We know that's going to happen.
That sounds like a $2 million stack right there. That is a $2 million stack.
I was just setting up the Deshaun Watson versus Jahan Dotson week 17 game stack for Ian.
This is the worst time in 2022. I don't care what the subject is. I was happy enough to snag Nico. What do we think about Nico Collins? Because you kind of start to look at this Texans roster, and while gross, Davis Mills, as we all know, 4 300-yard passing efforts last year. Brandon Cooks can't catch every single pass. John Mechie out maybe for a little bit. Dwayne, I know you've done good stuff on the PF receiving grades. Are we in the Devontae Adams level of Nico Collins, or do we have a little bit of a chance?
Yeah, no, I like Nico. I mean, I've definitely been warming to him. And he's cheap. Davis Mills is cheap. Like all the Texans are cheap, but Nico is the one that I gravitate to, the most. He's got the big frame, gives us a chance of catching some touchdowns. So yeah, I mean, I'm in.
He feels like a good best ball pick. I mean, managed league, why would you ever take
Do you
Nico
ever
Collins?
want to have to put him in?
Yeah, but in best ball, it's like, I've gotten an athletic, big receiver who looks like, at least for part of the season, the clear number 2, with a quarterback that we saw take reasonable steps forward throughout his rookie year. The year 2 leap might happen. We know this defense is probably not going to be great again. They're going to be trailing. I think Nico's he's in for some spike weeks. He also didn't have a lot of touchdowns last year. And I think that's probably suppressing his cost.
I think Davis Mills might be good. And I'm not afraid to say it. I'm not afraid to say it. I think Davis Mills might be good, man.
I mean, you remember last year they had, no picks, and then all of a sudden, here's their first pick of the draft. It's in the 3rd round, and they take Davis Mills, and he looked okay. I mean, when you look at, I was on a show one time, we were looking at, rookies now, second-year quarterbacks, and you look at the 300-yard games he had, and you compare that to, Trevor Lawrence and some other guys out there. He totally outclassed all of those guys. He looks like a competent NFL quarterback.
In the year 2021, among that class, he was the second best rookie quarterback. Behind Mac Jones. Like, that's just a fact.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Yeah, his 4 300-yard games were actually equivalent to every other rookie quarterback's 300-yard games. There were 4 non-Davis Mills 300-yard games for the rookies, and Davis Mills himself had 4 of them as well. I think just the Texans in general, pretty good best ball picks. We know that team's going to be trailing. We've seen that they can kind of just push the F it button and just start passing. Last year, I think their running backs were averaging 3.5 yards a carry. That could happen again. And next, it's just your incoming 600 plus pass attempts for Davis Mills.
Lovie Smith, man. Let's believe. Come on.
Our pal Joe Dolan.
Lovie won't suppress everything.
Look at all he's done since his last chance, guys. Come on. Lovie Smith.
And I have to say, Larky, I love just big athletic receivers in all draft formats, not just best ball, but
you're going to need some in Dallas because you only got 1 right now.
Until Julio signs. Oh, fuck. I just blew my pick.
Dude, I got Julio queued up in the Scott Fish Bowl right now. I hope nobody is listening. I'm ready to go.
Dude, he's going to play
I already
football.
Drafted Odell Beckham in that, too.
Ian, Julio's not getting back to you if he gets to me.
All right. Fair enough. All right. That's a sharp move by you. He's wide receiver 81. There's not one roster in the NFL that he gets signed to where he would be going outside the top 80 wide receivers.
Look, he had 2 games last year where he looked healthy, and he looked like 28-year-old Julio, not 32-year-old Julio. There's 2 of them.
Are you trying to make me take him in here, Graham? Is that the deal?
He was in the damn Titans offense. Like, my God. Even if he goes to Baltimore, fine. Great.
I kind of think
Larky
it's
actually sniped me. I was actually trying to do a week 17 just for Ian with my Saquon versus Paris Campbell. Normally I don't care about correlating running backs with receivers at all, just because if the running back does good, the receivers don't. But if it's a receiving back, I'm more willing.
Some random ass guy is going to win first place in Best Ball Mania, and then he's going to retrospectively talk about all the smart moves he made for his stack, but it's not even he didn't even make it in the moment. I was on some stream where I love him, but I was with Davis and Hayden and Daigle, and they were just talking up some pick I just randomly made, and talking about the bullshit contrarian correlations to week 17. You can just talk yourself into such a circle with this stuff. Yeah, exactly. Where is that, guys?
That's the funny thing. In the NFL, we know, we all try to get so smart and go well, this guy's against this guy. And there's going to be a snowstorm, and half the games are going to be played without power, and then all of a sudden, the Texans score 60 or something like that, and all those guys win money, because that's the NFL. That's what happens. Whatever we think. Dwain and Ian, we did a Thursday night Spaces event every week last year for the Thursday night game, and we're like, this is what's going to happen. It never happened. It's always bullshit that happens in those.
It happened at least one time,
bro. We had to deal with the Dalvin Cook game when he was playing, and they're yeah, we'll see what happens. Who the hell knows? Then he runs for 220 against Pittsburgh.
No, we had to do the Amari Cooper COVID thing, and then he was active, but then he didn't play. That was brutal.
My favorite was that week 17 last year, the The nice winning correlation was that Bears Lions game. What was it? It was Amon-Ra and Rashad Penny, just like everyone predicted.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
You know what gets me about some of the analysis like that is like at the end of the day, all of these rosters are going to look like dog shit after week 5. your week 17 correlation isn't going to fucking matter at all. Sorry, but it's not going to matter. Like, it's just overconfident. It's just being way overconfident, or actually in our ability to predict the future. But if you've played fantasy long enough, you've been humbled enough to know that you can't predict much past week 5, and anything in week 17 is fool's errand.
Bro, I couldn't even predict the home run derby last night when Albert Pujols is out there. Like, I was tweeting about this. Like, it was my buddies afterwards giving me shit. They're like, 2 hours ago you were complaining, calling Pujols the Make-A-Wish candidate and all this stuff. And eventually, I was like, look, guys, this is another fantasy football. This is just fantasy football in freaking July, and I am here for it.
You called the man, Albert Pujols, one of the greatest hitters of all time, a Make-A-Wish candidate.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
I thought it's what you said too.
Let's move on.
We're getting ready for our last round of picks here as we head into round 18. Dolan and our buddy Seth Quinn, who hopped in from Fighting Chance, he's going to close out with our 204th pick, and then we're into the last gasp here. So get some fun picks ready for the final round here, guys. If OJ's on the board, or maybe you want Duke Johnson, make it funny here. Let's have a little fun here on the hustle. Who can I queue up here? Davis Mills is on the board.
Hey, Taysom Hill's on the board.
I drafted Taysom Hill in the Scott Fish Bowl today too.
Yeah.
If you ever mention Taysom Hill on Twitter, the Mormon Mafia will come after you, worse than the Bills Mafia. They're like looking for blood in the streets.
Really?
I like the.
So they have. They think they're like old Tebow clan. They think Taysom is the best quarterback of all time.
Just tonight, Graham, have an experiment. Just make some random tweet about Taysom Hill and watch dudes come out of the wood. They're just searching for his name all night long.
All right. Well, now I have something to do it later tonight here.
Dwayne's on the board with his last pick. Let's see if he finds anybody fun in the queue.
My queue got all jacked up right there. So I'll just go ahead and take my third quarterback. I'll stack Michael Thomas with Jameis. Jameis. Look, like Patrick Mahomes and Jameis Winston both fell. Jameis Winston has an ADP of 152. I just got him at 210.
I excluded quarterbacks after I took 2, and then I just not look. Zach Wilson's still out there too. Damn. Should I do it?
Yes.
All right, I'll take him.
There it is, Gronk. Oh, my team desperately needs
another
wide receiver. I was going to take.
I was going to be so pissed.
Oh, I was not about to do that to you.
Ryan Reynolds sniped my last round pick. It's usually Kenyon Drake, and he took it. That's pretty rare over here. He goes over on DraftKings because it's 20 rounds in full PPR, but it's pretty rare that he goes over.
Another one of my Scott.
Free him. There
he is. Duke Johnson on the board. Pick
there we go.
Ian Hartitz.
I've done it once. That's some exposure.
Ian can sleep at night now.
And Ernest Johnson goes to camp, and he goes with the 216th pick to Drew Davenport, closing things out. I was this close to taking Gardner Minshew, because if and when Jalen Hurts goes down and Gardner Minshew comes in and becomes a top 10 quarterback every single week, that's the kind of play you need to win a multi-million dollars. So let's quickly run through some of these teams here. Ian, we'll start with you. Just give us kind of an overview. Any of the guys you really like, picks correlations, guys you're really high on this year that you'd like our listeners to be like, you know what, when I'm leaving my draft, I want to leave with this guy.
I've been fine with Andrews in round 2, and just the way he kind of fell, he was past kind of the first tier of wide receivers and most of the kind of every down running backs that I'm used to seeing slide on underdogs. So getting Andrews at 23 felt good to me. Was able to get Lamar and Bateman, as we talked about earlier. Guys, like top to bottom, even Duke Johnson, we got upside all over the place. I'm looking forward to collecting these $5 from everyone at a later date. One thing I will say, just a little more strategy-wise, as my lovely co-host of PFF Fantasy Football Podcast, Dwayne McFarland, has pointed out, Treylon Burks going round 9, round 10 for just stupid reasons. I forget who, I'm not sure who tweeted today, but someone brought up how it does feel a little bit like the Jamar Chase, like stripes on the balls storyline. It's different, but look at the price difference. My God, the guy's going as like a mid to low end wide receiver 4 at this point, depending on the draft analyst. I mean, he's either the wide receiver 1 from this class, but regardless, pretty much a top 5. And definitely the first round wide receivers has the best quarterback and arguably the easiest pathway up to the number 1 spot in the passing game. So Treylon Burks, don't hate the player, hate the ADP. Keep drafting him round 9, round 10. Come on, what are we doing here?
Graham, how about your team here? Jefferson, Fournette, Keenan Allen to start off. Of your squad, anything really jump out to you? Who are you pounding the table for listeners to leave your draft with?
Yeah, I got some easy stacks with Allen and Herbert. Got a little lucky Herbert falling to the 5th. Don't love my running backs, but happy with some of the late round guys I got between Cook, Henderson, and Williams. I will say, man, if you're not drafting Cam Akers in the 4th round, that's fine. I mean, I get why you would be out on him. The Achilles, maybe he's not as explosive as he once was coming out of Florida State. If you're not in on Cam Akers, like, what are we doing with Darrell Henderson going at 141? I mean, Kyron Williams is a 6th round pick who's coming off of foot surgery. We're not even sure if he's going to be ready for training camp yet. If Cam Akers is not Cam Akers, like, Darrell Henderson needs to be one of your most drafted running backs. He was one of my most drafted running backs last year, and I see no reason for him to be not one of my most drafted running backs once again.
All right, Larky, let's go down to your team here from the 10 hole. Devontae Adams, DeAndre Swift, Kyle Pitts, Breece Hall, and my guy, Jalen Hurts. Love him. I mean, the guy couldn't throw the ball from me to my computer screen, but he's going to be a top 5 fantasy quarterback.
Come on.
I'm an Eagles fan, and I say that.
No,
so,
it's just wrong. It's just wrong.
Give us the real lowdown on your team and some guys that you want our listeners to make sure they leave with.
So I always try to make sure I get some stacks, just an easy way to make sure that you're setting yourself up for some nice variance. And if we want to get first out of 12 teams, we want to make sure that we've got some correlated high variance outcomes. So I've got 2 different stacks. We've got the Jalen Hurts, Kenny Gainwell stack, which I love. If they end up being more pass heavy like they were early on last year, now in year 2 with Kenny Gainwell, this might be kind of the snap leader for the Eagles. And then also I love the underrated Lions. I got the Goff, Jameson Williams, DJ Shark, and DeAndre Swift triple stack there. I just think the Lions in general are being a little bit undervalued because they are the Lions. And I also really like having JMO with Chark because ultimately when you're taking these later round receivers, you just want to fill in the gaps. I do not want that guy to consistently be in that 3rd receiver slot. I didn't take him as one of my first 3 receivers. And it seems to me like Chark's going to be the one that gets some of the spike weeks early on. JMO gets them later on. And it's really important to make sure that you have some of that negative correlation within your own team where it's 2 receivers probably playing similar roles. I think we would all agree they're both at least decently talented at what they do. And I think those are the kind of moves that can really help put you over the top, especially if bye weeks injuries hit, when you can get that special little 2 for negative correlation. And that most weeks I'm going to have a startable receiver sneaking in that wide receiver 6-7 range.
And that's Josh Larky, folks, at JLarky Tweets. I didn't give out many of the Twitter handles. You guys all have a bazillion, Twitter followers here. I have like 7, so it's not like you guys need many more. We're going to welcome Derek Brown to the stream here. D-Bro from Fantasy Pros. D-Bro, what's going on down there? I hear it's hot in Texas.
Oh, dude, I'm afraid to walk outside my front door constantly because I'm going to spontaneously combust. Dwayne, you know this pain, man.
Dwayne just got a pool. Go over to Dwayne's house
today. Shit's insane, man.
So let's talk about your squad. Man, some really high leverage players here from the 1-5. Jamar Chase, Javonte Williams, who I was going to take 2 picks later. Michael Pittman, who I love from the Colts. Gabriel Davis, super polarizing player here in the 4th round. Well, I mean, we could have a whole show about Gabriel Davis. If you're on Twitter, you know about the Gabe Davis love-hate. So what do you think about your squad here?
I feel pretty good about it. I mean, there's a few spots like I was looking to try to maybe get like Kenyon Drake last round, got sniped on him. Some other spots like I wanted a few players, but I mean, overall, I feel pretty good about the team. Like being in these rooms with a lot of sharp people, you're always like, how is this gonna roll out? You know, like, are we just gonna snipe each other back and forth all freaking night? Or am I gonna get sniped on stacks? Like, how does that look? And I was like, once I got Javonte, I was like, all right, screw it. We're going hero build. I'm just going to punt it because I know everybody else in this room loves Brees and Cam and ETN and all these other running backs that I love that usually fall to the fourth. Well, that shit's probably not going to happen in this room. So I figured I was just going to punt running back down the street a little bit and just go high upside guys after that.
And you took Trey Lance as your QB2 with Joe Burrow. So you're hoping to get top 5 weeks potentially out of both of those guys. Where do you see Trey Lance? I know he had an issue, throwing the ball and really kind of seeing more than one read down the field. Do you think in the second year he can develop into a, usable quarterback, not just for fantasy, but I mean in the NFL? Jimmy G is probably not going to be on this
Drake's
roster.
asking, can he throw a forward pass?
Jalen Hurts
was going to bring up
Well,
arm fatigue.
Yeah, the guy that has to deal with Jalen Hurts just painted it he has trouble making it to his first read. Sometimes he shows up in a baseball uniform.
Basically, the Eagles fan just compared Lance to Hurts is what happened.
Throw the ball 6 inches in front of your face to Deebo Samuel, and he'll do the rest. Like we've watched Jimmy G play. Come on.
Why even throw it 6 inches when you could just run it for 6 yards, baby? I mean, I'm fine with that.
Now, that's why you should play fantasy football on Sleeper, where they have that tiered PPR. Thank you, because a screen pass should not count the same as a 40-yard freaking dime down the sideline to A.J. Brown. Let's be reasonable here, people.
I love it. This show is so fantastic, folks. Make sure if you're listening on YouTube, subscribing to the Fantasy Football Hustle channel, hit like, comment on the show. If you're listening on iTunes, Spotify, whatever, make sure you leave us a 5-star review. Tell a friend to tell a friend about the Fantasy Football Hustle. This is a lot of fun here. So,
and
Dwayne,
Devo, you did get a double snipe, I had to say. Like with Julio, you had Graham and Ian were both waiting on Julio.
So, really?
So you sniped 2 with that pick. Yeah.
With round 16.
Julio was
one shot.
That's
2 birds.
I took Julio as maybe he's a Cowboy, maybe he's a Colt. I don't know. Shit, either way it would work for the team.
He's gonna be higher than wide receiver 81. Any team in the entire league. Houston Texans.
Can we just talk about that? He wasn't total dust last year when he was on the field. His underlying metrics were still pretty strong considering.
Yep.
Yeah, they were good. Yeah.
If you're Julio,
Graham was outlining it earlier. Yep.
If you're going to come back, though, don't you want to come back to a contender? I mean, you're not going to come out here and screw up your hamstrings yet again for some scumbag team. You're going to want to say, I'm going to the Rams. Going, somebody good.
Yeah, that's what I like about Fuller, Julio. One of these guys go to the Packers. They're still in need of someone. That's what I like, is that you don't. I'd be shocked if these guys come back and they're like, "Hey, I'm playing for the Texans this year." No offense to Davis Mills. Love Davis Mills. I've got the neck, but I think these guys they're pretty aware of what these team compositions look like. The veterans want to win.
Yeah. Julio wants a ring, man. He's not going to come back and play for any kind of scrub team.
Yeah, Packers need a guy. Colts could use another guy. Dallas could definitely use some. Julio, that screams to me Dallas Cowboys, doesn't it, Dwayne? Jerry makes that move.
They have the second most cap space. What are they waiting for, Dwayne?
Yeah. I don't know.
I think it's Cowboys.
Dude, the Packers would be so funny because you would watch all the Alan Lazard truthers just fade into it. Alan Lazard would fall from a 7th round pick to 14 just on Julio arriving.
Well, people would they would basically just pull out the shovel and just bury Christian Watson. I mean, they're already doing it anyway, but
Yeah.
Dwayne, we didn't touch on your squad here. Diggs, Barkley, ETN, Connor. So you went really heavy with the running backs to start this build, and you took Juju. Didn't you and Ian just have a tweet, a combined tweet, which, by the way, Ian, I have to ask you how you do that. And it just says, don't draft Juju Smith-Schuster, and yet at 55 overall, now he's on your team.
I wasn't
Ian
going to
just
draft him.
spams me with stupid ass shit until I'm finally drunk enough to just say I'm tired of him messing with me, and I just hit it. I hit accept.
You were one. You and John Daigle hit accept. Hayden Winks tried to. I spammed it out. I got a reply tonight from Field Yates to my request last Friday night, and he just said, "LOL, LOL." Shut the fuck up, Ian. That was what he actually wanted to say there. I was going all out as soon as I figured out what a code tweet was. And now Dwayne's been reasonable about it. I'm full out fading Juju Smith-Schuster. I'm wide receiver 49. I am not buying this BS, but Dwayne has his reasons, and I respect Dwayne, so I guess I'll let it slide.
What's funny is I think I'm the one that actually sold Ian early on just, being part of Let's Hate Juju Smith-Schuster this year. And then I kind of came around on him where I'm like, well, it's kind of, his metrics are definitely, they've been down since 2018. But he
That's
does
4
have
years. That's 4 years.
I mean, that was like 12 years ago, but I mean, he does have two, high end, he has a high end wide receiver 2 and a wide receiver 1 finish, and he's with Mahomes. So I'm still way underweight on Juju, but I just started to realize, I got to go ahead and mix him in. I'm actually excited that I did in this one because I got to come back and get Mahomes, because you guys, this is what happens in these drafts like this, right? Sometimes the quarterbacks will fall. I think I have Mahomes right now on 1 or 2 teams out of like 70, and both of them were at least around, maybe 2 past ADP, just not a player that, I'm targeting in the early rounds. So I was excited about that. So I, get to have the Kansas City stack. And then, Ian, I come back around past ADP. I got to add Marquez Valdez-Scantling, which I think that's like my 3rd share of him.
I thought you were about to tell me how your 8th round pick had a week 17 correlation. I'm happy we're actually talking about a QB wide receiver stack here.
Well, it does. My 8th round pick has correlation with my 7th round pick in week 17, Dallas Goedert and Michael Thomas. But anyway, yeah, I didn't want to bring that. I didn't want to bring up like
there's 0% chance both those guys are healthy for that
game. Probably a true statement. And so, I mean, I basically had to keep pounding the receivers after taking the 3 backs. Originally, my thought was going receiver in round 4, but once James Conner fell there, I was like, okay, like we're at that point 10 picks past, his ADP. And I just held off on running backs the rest of the way. I only took 1 more, and Isaiah Spiller, and so I didn't take him until round 12. So I just had to kind of continue with the receivers. And like Larky talked about, just set up some different correlations. So we already talked about Mahomes, but I've got Deshaun Watson with David Bell. I've got Jameis Winston with Michael Thomas.
Look, I'm going to ask you guys something here. And this may sound crazy, but I want to hear me out. So Juju Smith-Schuster goes in this draft 55 overall. He's playing with Patrick Mahomes. There's no more Tyreek Hill. There's just the alpha there is a tight end. This is a team that is coached by Andy Reid. They want to throw. They're going to think about running. Nah, they're going to throw again. All right. He's going around after Gabe Davis and a very similar offense who is, behind an alpha dog wide receiver in Diggs. So what is the big difference, folks, between Juju Smith-Schuster, former Pro Bowler, and now Gabe Davis, who's been in the league multiple years and just broke out really in 1 playoff game? Why are we so much higher on Gabe Davis in his offense than we are on Juju Smith-Schuster, who has done it before in a very good offense also?
Gabe Davis isn't dust.
Go AJ Green. Yeah. Let's go AJ Green, round 3, right? Kyler's his quarterback. He's the starting wide receiver. He did it before.
So I think I've developed a nuanced enough take on why I would take Davis well ahead of Juju. So with Davis, he's ascending in that from year 1 to year 2, the targets per route run almost doubled. And I know like a lot of people give him shit where they're like, hey, the target share did not increase in year 2. That's really bad. But because he was a part-time player in year 2, his actual like target earning ability jumped, skyrocketed up. I think that's kind of good. Juju, on the other hand, is just, I mean, the guy is atrocious. If he was on any other offense in the NFL, he'd be a 12th round pick in best ball. So with Juju, I just feel like, what are you looking for? I guess also there's the ADOT where Gabe Davis is going to get targets 2 to 3 times further down the field from a similarly competent quarterback. I just don't understand Juju at all, honestly. Like I know that Dwayne, Ian, you guys are very, very skeptical. I do not get it either. I'm like, wow, 2018 is like, this is an eternity in football to go back 4.5 years.
We're still all chasing Josh Gordon here from 2013.
Look, we have Kelsey as number 1 KC. We obviously have Diggs as number 1 Buffalo. No one's debating that. But look at the rest of it. Like Gabriel Davis versus Jamison Crowder versus Isaiah McKenzie versus a 5th round pick who I've had too many Pacificos. I can't remember his freaking name right now. All due respect to Dawson Knox. We're wondering if James James Cook could make a splash. Like, what about Juju? What about how when MVS signed his contract, he made more on that day than Juju can possibly make this year if he hits every single incentive? Why did no one else in the entire NFL sign up to sign this dude over the last 2 years? Like, yeah, he did it back in 2018. Sky Moore's a second-round pick. Miko, like, I've told Dwayne this, and he shakes his head at me, but, like, there is a chance by week 8 that Juju Smith-Schuster is not starting in 3 wide receiver sets. Like, Miko Hardman, freaking Sky Moore, and MVS could feasibly be there. MVS has way more of a secure spot because he's the field stretcher. He is so much more of a distinct skill set than anyone else out there. Everyone else really overlaps. And man, if there is going to be an offense that you could see everyone just leveling out and being the, group of 600 to 800 yard receivers, I think it's KC. I think it's Green Bay. Like, let's take the guy. Like, I'm so sorry. Gabriel Davis scored 210 yards and 4 touchdowns and a freaking
210 points in one game.
The best football game we've ever seen. Like, I'm not going to hold that against him. The guy has 18 touchdowns in his first freaking 35 games played in the NFL. Like, it's not like he was behind scrubs. Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley, John Brown. These are guys the Bills invested in. Like, come on, let's go.
I want to ask our next guest, who is now the head of betting at the 33rd team, what odds I could get on Juju Smith-Schuster to win MVP this year. It is, of course, our great friend Ryan Reynolds. He did not get sniped by our old pal Balboni today. Ryan, welcome to the stream. Congratulations on announcing your new gig today, Ryan, over at the 33rd team, and still doing awards and waivers that established the run. I just want to talk about your squad here. You started out old school running back, Delvin Cook, Aaron Jones, a couple of guys who I think can have great seasons because they're going to catch the football in their offense, and that's what we want from our running back. So what's up, brother? And what do you think of the squad?
Brian, Dwayne, gentlemen, how you all doing? When you're in a room like this, I feel like what I did last year when we did this is I try to do something different from everyone. Like Dwayne mentioned earlier, sometimes quarterbacks go early in these drafts. So last year I waited. I was the last guy to take a quarterback. This year I took Josh Allen when he slid, which I've done roughly 150 best balls at this point. I might have 4 or 5 shares of Allen based on how early he's going. The Cook Aaron Jones combo from the 9 slot or the 10 slot, I have probably too many of those in tournaments at this point, but I like both of them. I'm higher than consensus on both of them. My wide receivers, I forget who it was, but when I took Amon-Ra St. Brown, I had a list of 3 or 4 guys, and they all went right in front of me. So that was a little tough one for me. I'm better with him in PPR formats, but in this, yeah. But I got a lot of my guys. I got Kadarius Toney. I got Olave. I'm in fair shape. You took Cole Kmet from me too earlier than I was anticipating. I was my waiting on tight end strategy. You blew that up on me a little bit, pal.
Well, I had to correlate someone here with Justin Fields, my QB2, and Dwayne will tell you, if you want someone in a draft who's going to jump ADP to take a shitty tight end or 5th string wide receiver, you get me in that draft because I'm your man.
That's to answer back to Drake. We get done and Drake's roster construction looks fine, and then I'm like, well, like if I could give you one tip, Drake, it would be don't reach 20 spots on every player.
We've even gotten to my squad. I can't wait to win the $7 that this draft is going to win because of the $5 entry fee and the rake and all that. And by the way, if you're still listening, folks, sign up at Underdog. Use promo code HUSTLE. We're going to double your instant deposit up to $100. Why wouldn't you want to do that? Come draft with us. I'm sure listening to Josh and Ryan, they are probably going to be in your draft room because they are drafting a shit ton of teams.
I will say, as mid as Cole Kmet is, like, we can't make any too big of grand sweeping statements because we are ranking freaking Dalton Schultz as the tight end 6 consensus now. Like, has there ever been a more just mediocre top 6 tight end? I know Dak's going to throw him the ball and Kellen Moore is going to have CeeDee Lamb going out there getting 5 targets a game for some reason, but come on, like, man, I have him ranked there too, guys.
The first people to have him at 6, Ian.
I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it, Dwayne, but here we are.
I think the issue, though, isn't that he's 6. The issue is how far ahead people take him in ADP versus Goddard and versus. I mean, Zach Ertz is the same damn thing, and you're getting him. Now, look, yes, there are more targets available, but Schultz hasn't shown an ability to demand targets. Like his his talent profile is like meh. You know, if he was a running back instead of CEH, he'd be MEH. So like with Schultz,
Shout out Josh Hernsmeyer. That's his shtick.
oh, was it?
Yeah,
Dwayne's been sitting on that
that's
one
a
all
mind
night long.
meld.
I was
That's
fixing
a
to say,
mind meld.
Dwayne's been waiting a few weeks to use that joke.
Actually, I just kind of came up with it. Maybe it was just stuck in my mind and I had seen it somewhere and forgot.
3 weeks from now
Consciously.
at the expo in Canton, Dwayne's gonna be 11 Bud Lights in. He's gonna be like, I got this CEH joke. Hang on.
And this is just on water. But no, I'm with you, Hart. It's like, and my thought is like, okay, folks, just take freaking Kyler Murray, take Jalen Hurts. Like, what are we doing? Why are we taking, why are we pushing, Dalton Schultz up boards? Like, if Dalton Schultz was going in like, in the same range as Goddard, and these other guys, I'd be fine. But like Goddard's talent profile is like 10x Dalton Schultz. Like Dallas Goedert like has a talent profile similar to George Kittle and to some of these other guys.
Yep.
Like, yeah, it could be a run heavy offense. We don't know. We're hoping the Eagles throw the ball more. Yes, they have other targets to deal with, but man, if things break right for Goddard, like there's just a bigger ceiling in my opinion.
If he ever got the targets, he'd be in the same discussion as Andrews and Kelsey.
Yeah, for sure.
With as good as he is, like yards per route run, everything. Like he's so stupid good. That's what I was happy about the AJ Brown trade for Hurts, but then
also
at the same
sad.
time I was like, damn it. Like Goddard, I was like, that's dark horse tight end 1 right there.
Yeah, I almost put Dallas Goedert into like Albert Okabunam territory. Like that's how much I like him in.
What do you think about the news, Dwayne? The
What
great
news did I?
the great Dulce.
Are you talking about
God.
Dulcich?
I saw
Dwayne
some.
said,
I didn't,
Dwayne said
I
he
mean-
was happy. Dwayne said he was happy the Broncos drafted Dulcich. We have that on record.
Yeah, I'm still happy. Like I don't even know what news I missed. I've been writing like 1,000 blurbs today for our new app we're working on, Ian. Like my eyes are bleeding.
A certain beat reporter basically said it's just going to be maybe split, and he favors Dulcich to take over.
Oh,
I'm on
God.
the clock
Beat
right now in
reporters
the Scott
before
Fishbowl.
training camp even starts. Give me a
What
break.
was the headline? It was like Alberto has to earn his starting spot. Like, no shit. Everybody does on the team. Okay, cool.
Well, the
Like,
other
push
thing
that
is
ADP down. Push it down.
Yeah, exactly. I'll take more
Sorry,
Alberto.
Josh, go
Give me
for it.
all that action.
He's so cheap, it's fine. But there was a time during this offseason where people were flirting with him like top 10, top 11. Now
I
that's
have no
not my
clue
foot.
why the hell is he still in the 130s and 140s? That's still like I'll just keep drafting him, man.
Well, especially because I think it might have been even the same beat reporter. They said Greg D had some kind of core muscle injury, which is weird to say that he's winning the camp battle
Hold
when
on.
apparently he's been injured.
This doesn't fit my priors. I'm not sure about this injury.
I'm literally on the clock here in the Scott Fishbowl on my phone, debating who to take here. So it may be Dulcich here in round 21. I can take Dulcich, Hassan Haskins,
I'll
or
take
Tyler
Haskins.
Batty.
It's not that Dulcich could do anything himself. It's just that like he could make Alberto like a 50, 60 target guy. Like that's all. It's not him. But
Yeah, 15 hours ago, Dulcich had some kind of minor core muscle injury.
Mm.
So it's weird that it's the same day that everyone assumed he was winning the camp battle.
I took.
I mean, I
Hassan
still
Haskins
think
out.
Albert could be, even if Dulcich plays, like if they run a bunch of 12, which Hackett's done before, I mean, Albert might just not come off the field. He could still
as
be like
Judy's
a 70, 80%
Judy's just
route
chilling
guy.
on the sideline, 12
He
personnel.
could be, yeah. Judy's
Judy
just saying, hi, guys, what's up?
getting Tim Patrick's water ready.
I remember watching Nathaniel Hackett's offense here at Syracuse when he was the OC with Doug Marrone. The 1 year Syracuse was actually mediocre, which is above average for us. And they threw to the running backs a ton in that offense, which gets you even more excited for Javonte Williams this year. He went off the board in the where'd Javonte go? He went in the second
on my
round to
team.
Debro right there. How excited are you to get him on the roster, Derek?
I mean, I'm happy with it, man. I love Javonte's talent. Like right now, he's just a home run swing that you could take in the third round. And I saw the blurb when it came out about like, oh, they might throw to the running backs, and I was like, has anybody been looking at the Packers offense? Like Rodgers' screen rate has been ridiculous over the last 2 to 3 seasons. Like they're going to involve the running backs. So I love Javonte. Like if it wouldn't been for Melvin Gordon, like I keep trying to talk myself into like moving him up higher in the ranks because he's legit. He's so freaking good, regardless of whatever you look at. Even his yards per route run is underrated. Even I think his profile as a receiver coming out of college was underrated too.
Let me see. I want to go over to Ryan real quick. Give me a if I was going to lay down some bets right now on MVP for the NFL, who would you be saying the favorites are? I got $100. I'm going to lay some bets down on NFL MVP. Who am I taking?
The favorites, Josh Allen. If you're going to cluster a group of them would be Herbert, probably Brady, Rodgers, Mahomes after him. Where for me, if
go off the QB board, or it's always a quarterback.
Pretty much always a quarterback. Once every 10 years or so, a running back sneaks in there. But for me, I primarily bet on quarterbacks only. And if you're looking for a long shot bet, I'd be looking in the NFC because I think there's a clearer path for someone like, say, Trey Lance or Jalen Hurts to end up being on the team that ends up being the number one seed in the conference.
I like where this is going. Go on.
In the AFC, there's so many dynamic quarterbacks on pretty loaded rosters that, you're talking about like Tua maybe, which I'd much rather go in the other direction if you're looking for a long shot.
Another guy I want to get your guys' opinion on is Travis Etienne. Dwayne, you took him here in the 3rd round. He's somebody I think when you get to home leagues and you're drafting against your buddies, he might slip to the 4th because people are kind of out of sight, out of mind. They're like, oh, yeah, he plays for the Jags. He was hurt last year. I've on this show said he reminds me of Reggie Bush. And if he can have one of those early Reggie Bush seasons before the injuries took its toll, that was massive. That was winning people fantasy leagues. So, Larky, let me start with you here. What kind of season do you think we can get from Travis Etienne in the 3rd round, maybe 4th even come home league season?
So I love Travis Etienne. I also miss the days. I did some of those early best ball manias when he went in the 5th round.
Wow.
When people were like, oh, the injury is, there were a couple of reports of like, oh, he might be eased in. And when anytime a beat report says eased in, it's like, oh, we can't draft this guy because he's going to be eased into training camp. Whatever that means. What I like about Etienne though is what do we know about fantasy football? Where do running back fantasy points come from? They come from targets and from goal line work. I would be absolutely shocked if Travis Etienne is not getting goal line work and targets in this offense. It just seems like he's perfectly set up. There are no true target hogs in the pass catching core. Etienne's really well positioned to get 80, 90, 100 targets. He also played with Trevor Lawrence in college. I like to say that with mobile quarterbacks, they have the Konami code, obviously, and then there's the anti-Konami code with running backs where they don't throw the ball to them. Luckily for Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence, incredibly mobile. So shockingly, I think he had the 5th most rushing yards among all quarterbacks last year. So Etienne right there with the mobility gets the wider running lanes, the linebackers a little bit uncomfortable when they're defending Trevor Lawrence. But then on the other end, we see that Travis Etienne had over 1,000 receiving yards in his final 2 years of college with Trevor Lawrence. You cannot find another running back set up with a mobile quarterback that we know is certifiably going to be throwing him the football. I think Travis Etienne is a smash round 3, round 4, wherever you can get him, because I think he is one of the final guys that you can get legitimate top 2, top 3 fantasy point per game upside with him.
Ian, he seems like the kind of guy you'd scream like, it's a great day to be great with, and you draft Travis Etienne. Like, he seems like a guy who's right up your alley.
I remember like in March or some shit, and Dwayne and I got to Etienne in some sort of episode, and we were just like, we need to be higher on the consensus on this guy, because to Larky's point, like James Robinson was going as like the RB3 range to start the offseason. People were overrating Etienne's injury more so than James Robinson, and it made no sense. And the more you look at it, we had this one brief to Larky's point, we got the Ezen rumor, and then we got the Etienne had the Deebo Samuel role. And it's like, what are you talking about? He has the potential, if Robinson's out, to get the McCaffrey role. And I think his worst case scenario is getting the DeAndre Swift role and, an offense that, I don't know, could maybe outscore the 2021 Lions. So to me, Etienne, where he's going, round 3 or 4, I've consistently been taking Connor, Travis Etienne, and then usually Cam Akers is the one falling a bit more. But like, just look at the role there, and when everything seems to be coming out positive on his just health status, which obviously we need to be concerned with. But man, like, we want to draft these running backs that can catch 70 plus passes. He's done it with this quarterback. Come on, let's not make this too hard.
What a great show we have going on here. I just can't say thanks enough to all the guys who took time out of their busy schedule. Drew Davenport, Ian Hartitz, Graham Barfield, Derek Brown, Matt Donnelly, Ryan Hallam, Ryan Reynolds, Josh Larky, Joe Dolan, and Seth Quinn. So before I get you guys out of here, we're at an hour and 20 minutes. So, what the hell, just get another beer. Let me start down here with Ryan. Give us something you want to leave our audience with, something to remember going into this fantasy season. Maybe it's a bet, maybe it's a player prop, something you're really high on a player you think they should be leaving their drafts with. So just kind of lay that on us as we get on out of here for this episode.
Kadarius Toney's a guy. I think he's my third highest exposure player to this point in best ball tournaments. One game that I think of that kind of skews his data a little bit is when the Giants played the Rams last year. Kadarius Toney essentially was their offense until he got hurt, and their offense no longer functioned when he left. He has great start-stop ability. They're going to have a far more modern offense, more aggressive offense this year. While we can all be concerned about Toney's injury history and Daniel Jones' ability to be a consistent NFL quarterback, he's a guy where you're getting him in the 8th round or so. He's a guy that could end up going in the top 5 rounds next season if everything hits the right way.
The porn bots just came into our YouTube chat, so we're doing something right. Derek, how about you, my friend?
Every day is a good day to draft more Russell Gage. How about we go with that one?
I'm going to win the Scott Fishbowl by just the guys you guys were talking about here tonight. So just get ready to hand me that trophy.
Yeah. Ian, what round did you get Russell Gage?
Bro, like 16? No, maybe it wasn't 16.
No, it was like 10. You've had too many drinks now. I think it was like round 10. But D-Bro picks right. We picked
10.
Right
okay.
I had Russell Gage queued up, man.
No, I nearly took him from you. I left him there, honestly, to try to tempt you. Maybe if you let him go by, because I went and looked at his ADP over on ADHD Josh's tool, and it showed that he should go like a round later. So I was like, I'm going to leave him here. So when it comes back, D-Bro's going to take him, and I make sure that I get DeAndre Hopkins to fall back to me because I have Kyler Murray now, and I love Russell Gage, so it wasn't a complete trap because I don't want him. I have a lot of exposure to Gage. His underlying profile is very strong. People don't realize he's been getting good for the last couple of years now. It's not just, this is not an Allen Lazard MVS situation. The Bucs actually signed a good receiver. They didn't sign somebody that sucks. So it was just a ploy to try to get, Hopkins back. And then just immediately right after the pick, you took him. And then Ian sends me a text. Yeah, man, I got Gage in round 10. I'm like, you suck.
I got him round 10, pick 6.
Everybody.
I am so sorry if the Allen Lazard family is listening to this stream right now, because Dwayne has just gone out of his way to slander this man on
they
5
subscribe.
separate occasions.
They're super subscribers to our YouTube channel. Thanks a lot. They might not buy the draft board now.
To wrap that up, though, Dwayne, I knew I was choosing violence whenever I chose the spot right next to Dwayne because it was going to be fun. We've literally sniped each other. When you grabbed Albert O, I was like, I tossed my phone. I was like, son of a bitch. I was going to get him the next round.
Dulcet, D-Bro. It'll
no, I'm not falling on that sword. I'll let Hartitz or somebody else do that.
Oh wait, Ian, who should he draft from Pittsburgh? Who's the other tight end from Pittsburgh that he should? Ian is so hung up on freaking.
Why do you run more routes?
Do we get blocking points? What is that?
Larky, listen to this sample size.
I want one person. I want one person to tell me why Zach Gentry ran more routes than Pat Fryermuth in the freaking playoff game. Why?
In the one game.
Why?
I'm more of a football guy, and I don't even have an answer for you there.
Thank you.
Thank
He's
you,
the
Ryan.
tight end Gabe Davis.
Wanted somebody to block. No clue, man.
I really hope he makes the most out of 55 targets from Mitch Trubisky. That's what we're doing here with the top 10 tight end.
You might do more with some targets at the expo in 3 weeks. Holy smokes. We're going to get you out there, Ian. You were a college football player.
Bro,
Are we going to get you out there playing?
I played defense for a reason. I would be out there. Unfortunately, one of my best friends is getting married in Chicago that Friday, but don't worry. I am coming to the expo on Saturday morning. I got my Kings Classic titles. You can see over my shoulder right here to defend. We'll make that happen Saturday. Then we'll have the PFF, talking to people if I'm not too hungover on Sunday. So should be a good time all around. Looking forward to seeing all you guys there. Hopefully, I'm going to see Dwayne for the first time in real life. It's going to be crazy.
Me too.
Dwayne, how tall are you? Because, hey, as a 6'2" person, man, I don't know. I don't want to freaking have to fight you right away.
You won't have to fight me. I'm 5'9", so you got me.
Let's go.
It's funny.
I don't fight fair though, that's for sure. Especially against people that are younger and taller than me.
Ian and I are in the same draft at the Kings Classic. So Dwayne has the kind of fun task of he could go like, hey, I'm going to start with this guy and I'm going to draft with him. And then you go, this guy's team sucks.
Wait. Wait, Dwayne, you're helping Drake. I'm going against you?
Yeah, you told me to get lost.
I didn't know you were in my draft. I thought you were in our division. What the hell is this? Oh, okay, it's on.
Drake, why did you surprise him? This was going to be a surprise attack.
It's on.
You didn't tell me you were going to help me out. I was just happy to not make the playoffs and flounder.
Dude, I'm just going to come hang out. Whoever's draft is going better, I'll probably hang out with that person.
I bet.
Just float between, man.
Yeah, you're going to end up on the Dynasty League football team or something with those guys. Well, let's see. Who didn't we get to yet? Mr. Larky, what a great first appearance here on the Fantasy Football Hustle, by the way. So just lay it on us here. Something you want our listeners to remember as they're getting ready to walk into their drafts this summer.
Well, first off, just thanks for having me. This was an absolute blast. Every night is a good night to do an Underdog draft. Promo code HUSTLE.
Let's do it.
I was actually going to talk about
That's
Tony.
Really nice, Larky, because I know you have your own code. We all do.
Yeah, Dwayne and I got to pay for those trips out to Cleveland.
Code.
Oh no! Don't make me altruistic. I actually, for the first time in my life, I don't have a promo code yet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good man. We got to pay for those beers in Canton, Dwayne. We need a couple more people to sign up.
So I was going to talk about Kadarius Toney until the I guess now fired co-head of betting decided to absolute snipe me on not just Toney in the draft, but then talking about him post-draft. Then I was going to talk about Gage until Debro swooped in. Those are probably my two favorite players. But I'll leave everyone with a little Kyle Pitts nugget. Nice little cherry pick stat here. So in the past 10 years, if we look at any type of receiver with 1,000 yards as a rookie, in year 2, they average over 1,200 yards. They average nearly 17 PPR points a game. And I think with Kyle Pitts, I understand stinky offense. It's a terrible quarterback. How is he going to split work with Drake London? But if we just look at the actual, if I'm just purely scouting the stats, this looks like the kind of guy that could have a high-end wide receiver 1 season in your tight end slot. I can't get enough of Kyle Pitts in the late 3rd, early 4th.
Mr. McFarland, before we get out of here, anything to say to our fun-loving audience?
I'm not going to drop anything. Like people, I'm on here all the time talking, so people know my takes. But I just want to tell everybody that's here, thank you. Like this was awesome. Doing these is a blast. Getting all the different personalities together, and I just love. It's kind of like a melting pot, right? Where we all come together and we all have our own takes. Everybody approaches it a little bit different. Some of our takes may be the same, but I just love seeing the personality come out, with everyone. And so I just appreciate you guys jumping on with us.
All win and misses for the world, man. Good people.
And I started Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, AJ Brown, Darren Waller. So thank you all for your $28 or whatever the pot is here tonight. But yes, thank you everybody for coming on here. I know I annoy you in your DMs and send a bunch of tweets, which wait till the show drops on Wednesday and all the tweets go out. So just give it a friendly retweet here and help promote the show. But thank you everybody for hanging out with us tonight on the Fantasy Football Hustle. This has been fantastic. Again, if you like it, subscribe to that YouTube channel, go over to Underdog, use promo code HUSTLE. And if you need a draft board, your home league draft's coming up. Our buddies over at draftwithredzone.com, promo code FFHustle22. We're going to knock $10 off that draft board with the stickers and the championship ring. So for Dwayne, I am Brian Drake. Thanks everybody. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And remember to never get out hustled. Take it easy.